Hello, I'm going to show you for $74 how you can create your own do-it-yourself composting red wiggler worm bin that will consume 1 pound of food scraps per day. And this is what it looks like. It's not very pretty, but there's the bin that has the worms in it, and then to the left-hand side you can see a little tube that comes out to drain off the worm tea. Got it elevated on a couple of 5-gallon buckets. So what you need is a 30-gallon bin. I found this bin at my local hardware store for about $13. And then you need the 2 5-gallon buckets to set the worm bin on to elevate it. And then you need a 1-inch square nylon mesh. You can either get the mesh from some tea bags use nylon, a nylon mesh, or I just used a reusable coffee filter. I just cut the nylon out of between the plastic on the reusable coffee filter. Then you need a little bit of waterproof glue. I found this online for about $5. You need a bike tube as your piping to drain your worm bin. I got that for about $5 online. And then you're going to need any plastic water bottle that you can find. I used a 1-gallon water bottle that I bought at the grocery store, but you can just go through your recycle bin and you'll probably find something useful. And then you'll need 2 bricks of coconut coir that I found online. I ordered it off of Amazon. It was about $11. And then you just take the bag off and reconstitute this in water in one of the 5-gallon buckets. It's highly compressed, and when you add the water, it'll expand probably about 4 times the size. And then you need to ground up probably 8 to 10 eggshells. And if you take the eggshells and throw them in your microwave for about 30 seconds, you'll cook off any moisture so that when you stick it in the blender, it doesn't turn to goo. You just want to turn it into a fine grit, not a powder, not quite to a powder, but just a fine grit so the worms can use the grit in their digestive system as they're chewing through your food, and this will help them digest their food. And then you need shredded paper. The worms love shredded paper, and the paper helps them with their reproduction process. Start off with about a gallon of shredded paper. If you don't have a shredder, you can just rip it up yourself, but rip it up pretty finely. Then you're going to need about 250 red wigglers to start off with. So I ordered mine from Uncle Jim's. Worked great. They shipped it to me. Everything worked out fine. It cost me about $30. So the total cost here is $74. That's the investment you need to make. And how did we go about doing this? So the first thing you need to do is you need to drill a drain hole on one end of the bin. Ruth's going to drill the hole, finish doing it. Drill the hole out, find it out, get her out of there. And so that's our drain hole right there. And on the outside, this is what that sucker looks like right there. We're going to clean it up. Okay, now we're going to shave a little of this plastic off here after we drill it out. Look at that, beautiful. Yeah, so we get a nice hole. So we can put that tube on both sides of this thing. It'll drain right in the tube. Let's check in here. Let's see, maybe trim a little there. Yeah, we got a perfect hole. And then you need to cover the drain hole with a nylon mesh, and you just need to take the glue that you bought and glue around the circle and stick the nylon mesh on there. It'll dry. Mine dried in about an hour. Okay, so we just took apart this old coffee filter, and we got these 2 filters here that we're going to put right down in there. Okay, so now I'm going to put some glue around this whole thing, this whole hole right here. I'm just going to get it on there. There we go. It's a nice bead of glue. Our filters, and we are going to make sure we have a good seal going all the way around, just like that. And then you need to attach the drain pipe to the outside of the bin. Okay. Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, thanks. Okay, perfect. Okay.
Beautiful. And then you need to put the drain pipe right inside your plastic water bottle. And then after you've attached the drain pipe and tucked it into the water bottle, we need to raise the opposite side of the bin by about 2 inches. And we need to do this to drain off any sort of excess liquid. So you can see here where I have the arrow pointing on the opposite side of the drain pipe. I've just added a little bit of a brick in there that's about 1.5 inches high to raise the side of that bin. You can see how that bin's tilted up so that the fluid drains through. It's now worm tea. It drains through the pipe and down into the water bottle. Then you need to prepare your coconut coir.
What is this stuff?
Cocoa. Then you need to take your reconstituted coconut coir, throw that in your bin, cover it with the eggshells, slightly stir in your eggshells into the coconut coir, pour in all the shredded paper and then slightly stir it in, and then just go out into your garden somewhere and get a couple handfuls of soil and sprinkle that in there as well. The paper. And then the last step is just add in your red wigglers. And then they'll kind of migrate into the soil and get acclimated. And you want to feed your red wigglers once per week in a rotating corner of the bin. And the things you want to feed them are just mostly fruits and vegetables. They love fruits and vegetables. They also love tea bags. Just cut the top of that tea bag open and throw it right in with the string and the label and the whole thing. And it'll eventually all get consumed, but they love used tea bags along with fruits and vegetables. Things you don't want to feed them are citrus, onion, anything spicy like jalapeno or habanero, or any proteins. You just want mainly fruits and vegetables, and I find that they love tea bags. And then so how much will they eat? Well, on day one, if you stick 250 red wigglers in, they'll double in population every 2 months. So in 2 months, they'll have 500, 4 months, 1,000, and then 6 months, about 2,000. And in that bin that I showed you, it's a 27-gallon bin that I purchased. Roughly the maximum capacity, the number of worms that they'll get up to is about 2,000 worms, maybe a little bit more. So in about 6 months, under ideal conditions, you'll have about 2,000 worms in there. The worms they weigh, 1,000 worms weighs about a pound. So 250 worms is 1/4 pound, 500 worms, half a pound, and 2,000 worms is 2 pounds. And they will consume half their weight per day. So on a daily basis, on day one, your worms are going to consume the equivalent of about 1/8 of a pound per day. In 2 months, they'll be consuming about 1/4 pound per day. In 4 months, they'll be consuming about 1/2 pound. And then 6 months, they'll be up to a pound. And if you just do the math on 7 days, if you're going to feed them every 7 days, so on day one, when you put them in there and you have 250 worms, roughly you're going to be feeding them just under a pound. And in about 2 months, you should be gradually increasing their food up to almost 2 pounds. And by 4 months, about 3.5 pounds. And then in 6 months, you'll be at about 7 pounds or a pound per day to add in there. And then every 3 to 6 months, you can harvest your castings that's in the bucket. And again, if you feed them each in the corners, they'll migrate to each of the corners. So you go to opposite corner and pull out some of the casting and then use that for your vegetable garden in the spring and summer. Plus, what you're going to have, you can see the little blue arrow in the lower right image. You're going to be pulling off worm tea, which is the water, the fluids that are draining out the bucket through your drain hole, past the mesh, into the bite tube, and down into essentially what I have is a 1-gallon plastic bucket there to capture it all. So for $74, you can build this rather unattractive system that I've developed, but very practical and very useful. That when you're up to full capacity in about 6 months, it'll consume about a pound of food waste per day.